Hello friends, today I am going to discuss with you mechanism of labor. Content of this video is 7 cardinal movements of labor. Now mechanism of labor is different from stages of labor, so please don't confuse between these two topics. Now the mechanism of labor, this refers to the series of changes in position and attitude that the fetus undergoes during its passage through the birth canal. And these movement basically occurs in fetal head because head is larger than the body. It is described here for the vertex presentation and the gynecoid pelvis. The relation of the fetal head and body to the maternal pelvis changes as the fetus descends through the pelvis. This is essential so that the optimal diameters of the fetus skull are present at each stage of the descent. Now, cardinal movements. 7 cardinal movements fetus undergoes, mainly engagement, descent, flexion, internal rotation, extension, external rotation, and expulsion. Although these movements are simple, but sometimes we mix the sequence of these movements. So I have put the mnemonic here. In this way, you can easily remember the sequence of the movements. Mnemonic is every dawn fool in Egypt eats raw eggs. Now engagement, the fetal head normally enters the pelvis in the transverse position or some minor variant of this, taking advantage of the widest pelvic diameter. As you know, in pelvic inlet, the transverse diameter is 13.5 centimeter and anterior posterior diameter is 11 centimeter. So that's why fetal head normally enters into the pelvis through transverse position. Engagement is said to have occurred when the widest part of the presenting part has passed successfully through the inlet. The number of fifths of the fetal head palpable abdominally is used to describe whether engagement has taken place. If more than 2/5 of the fetal head is palpable abdominally, the head is not yet engaged. Descent. The descent of the fetal head is needed before flexion, internal rotation, and extension can occur. During the first stage and passive phase of the second stage of labor, descent of the fetus occurs as a result of uterine contractions. In the active phase of the second stage of labor, descent of the fetus is assisted by voluntary efforts of the mother using her abdominal muscles and the Valsalva maneuver, which is called pushing. Now flexion. The fetal head is not always completely flexed when it enters the pelvis. As the head descends into the narrower mid-pelvis, flexion occurs. This passive movement occurs in part due to the surrounding structure and is important in reducing the presenting diameter of the fetal head. Now then comes the internal rotation. If the head is well flexed, the occiput will be the leading point, and on reaching the sloping gutter of the levator ani muscles, it will be encouraged to rotate interiorly, so that the sagittal suture now lies in the anterior posterior diameter of the pelvis outlet, the widest diameter. Now at the pelvis outlet, anterior posterior diameter is 13.5 centimeter and transverse diameter is 11 centimeter. So that's why at the outlet it moves to AP position. If the fetus has engaged in the occipito-posterior position, internal rotation can occur from the occipito-posterior position to the occipito-interior position. This is long internal rotation may explain the increased duration of labor associated with occipito-posterior position. Alternatively, an occipito-posterior position may persist, resulting in a face to pubes delivery. Now then came the extension. Following completion of the internal rotation, the occiput is beneath the symphysis pubis, and the bregma is near the lower border of the sacrum. The well-flexed head now extends and the occiput escapes from the underneath of the symphysis pubis and descends the vulva. This is known as crowning of the head. The head extends further and the occiput underneath the symphysis pubis act as a fulcrum point as the bregma face and the chin appears in succession over the posterior vaginal opening and the perineal body. This extension process, if controlled, reduces the risk of perineal trauma. However, the soft tissues of the perineum offer resistance and some degree of tearing occurs in the majority of first births. That is why we give episiotomy. Now restitution, this is basically not present in 7 cardinal movements and in the mnemonics, but this is again an important point. When the head is delivering, the occiput is directly anteriorly. As soon as it crosses the perineum, the head aligns itself with the shoulders, which have entered the pelvis in the oblique position. This slight rotation of the occiput through the 1/8 of the circle is called restitution. Basically, when the head delivered, it misaligned with the shoulders. So, restitution basically align head with the shoulders during delivery. Now external rotation. In order to deliver, the shoulders have to rotate into the direct anterior posterior plane. Remember the widest diameter of the outlet. When this occurs, the occiput rotates through a further 1/8 of the circle to the transfer position. This is called external rotation. Now in this picture you can see after delivery the head again rotate to transverse position so that the shoulders come into anterior posterior position, which is the widest diameter at the pelvic outlet. Then came the expulsion. When restitution and external rotation have occurred, the shoulders will be in the anterior posterior position. The anterior shoulder is under the symphysis pubis and delivered first, as seen in the picture, and the posterior shoulder delivers subsequently, as you can see in this picture. Normally, the rest of the fetal body is delivered easily, with the posterior shoulder guided over the perineum by gentle upward traction in the opposite direction, so delivering the baby on the maternal abdomen. Thanks for watching. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon for more updates.